hello. Good to see you. Let's use the elder wand. You get fairy dust. I get fairy dust. Amelie gets fairy dust. And it's time for video number 4, Harry Potter and the Psychological Arts. We are on chapter 1. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal, thank you very much. They were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange, mysterious, because they didn't hold with such nonsense. From the jump, we know that these aren't our people. Like, we already know, like, this is not gonna go well for us if we're with these people. Childhood, being raised in a home where there's childhood trauma, where there's a substance abuse, there's a personality disorder, or whatever else is going on, you are not allowed to step outside the lines. You must hold to the family rules, the family secrets, the family, you must toe that line. You must. You must appear perfect. You must appear like everything's fine, because if you don't, you might give it away that this is fucked up, what we're living in. And so it's this very weird, paradoxical bullshit thingy, because the family's fucked up, and yet we have to act like we're not, and we have to, eschew anything that even reeks of anything that's not normal, what society will deem normal. And sometimes it's not necessarily like the family, it's not, because the family might say, this is a terrible example, but like, let's say I grew up in like a bohemian home where they're, like hippies or whatever the fuck you want to say. And so they like, part of their values are, not subscribing to social norms of the time. So even if they didn't, but there was still the family's norms that you had to keep. So even if they were, that you grew up in a family in which the value system wasn't necessarily about what's normal out there, it's still about what's normal in our home. So I hope that didn't offend anyone. I enjoy shopping at Free People sometimes, if it's age appropriate. Most of it's not, but anyway. So it may be hard to read yourself or understand yourself in that you might have been in childhood trauma, and that this doesn't apply if your family was already outside of whatever the norm should be. But it is that you are not allowed to cross the lines. Another example might be like, let's say you were raised in a vegan household, and so that's not necessarily norm. It's becoming, more normal and natural. Like, people are used to it. It's not such a big deal now, but but the world might say like, oh, what's going on with those people? They don't eat meat or any animal products at all. And like, what's going on with them? But if you eat meat and you're part of that family, that's not okay. Like, that is not okay. If it's toxic, if it's a toxic family, it's possible to be vegan and bohemian. Why am I picking? It's possible to be all that and not be toxic at all. I'm just trying to, find an example and make sure that everybody feels included. Anyway, so I hope that's helpful. Okay. So we go on a little bit. Mrs. Dursley was thin and blonde and had nearly twice the usual amount of neck, which came in very useful as she spent so much of her time craning over garden fences, spying on the neighbors. The neck is really long. Right away, for people in my age cohort, that's hashtag Mrs. Kravitz. You know, that's part of it, and it's part of like, let me just make sure, because for a couple of reasons, but one of them is to make sure that that they're bad or whatever and we're good. It's just to continue to reinforce how great we are compared to whatever else is going on over there, like what shenanigans is going on over there, and they water their lawn too much, or they, you know, whatever. It's always judgmental craziness. And again, this is our worst nightmare for those of us who are not like this at all. And you can, you know, I don't, it's really hard to say that you have had childhood trauma, because usually it's not like one trauma. It's usually like, oh, that was the bad thing. But if you're raised in this, I mean, look at Dudley. I would say Dudley has childhood trauma because he was raised in a way where he was taught, you know, to act out and to be naughty and be annoying, and you know, and so his family trauma would be like, because he was raised in this, he didn't know better. And you know, as those of you who have already read the books, you know that he has a beautiful turn at the end and how he feels about Harry. And so, you know, to the best of his ability, and how much is that is Dudley, and how much is that is his childhood trauma by being raised by people like this, who you know, who look down on absolutely everyone. The Dursleys, I never have been sympathetic to him until just right now. To old Dudley. The Dursleys had everything they wanted, but they also had a secret. Their greatest fear was that somebody would discover it. And that is part and parcel to anybody raised in a dysfunctional home, an abusive home. You must keep the secret. You must keep the secret. And you can see now, like the first sentence to the last sentence of the first page, they were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange or mysterious, because they didn't hold with such nonsense, is the same person who has a secret in which there's mystery and magic and other nonsense like that. So right away, that dissonance, a child being raised in that dissonance of, you know, keep it together, we have to be perfect, we have to present in a certain way, we do, you know, we met all of our goals, we have everything how we wanted, you know, we're judging the other people, like looking out the window, and yet there's this bubbling secret, there's this elephant in the room, the tension of that secret defines us. They say that we're only as sick as we're secrets. That's why I try to tell all my secrets. I got to do that in my 12-step program many a time. But when I come up on with a new secret within myself, I want to tell it as soon as possible so I can be free. So they didn't think they could bear it if anyone found out about the Potters. Again, like, please don't let them find out. Please don't let them find out, the world to find out I'm crazy. Please don't let the world find out I abuse my child. Please don't let the world find out the darkness that happens in here. It talks about that there was a boy, and then it says, this boy, Harry, this boy was another good reason for keeping the Potters away. They didn't want Dudley mixing with a child like that. And so, again, you know, they don't want Dudley. They didn't want Dudley to be influenced by, like, they're trying to toe the line for Dudley. This shit has to be passed on. The line is, this is who we are. We crane our necks to spy on the neighbors. We crane our necks to try to catch people being wrong or stupid or make mistakes so we can feel better about ourselves. And we're going to keep this child away from magic. We're going to keep this child away. It's not worth it. We have to, and we have to, raise our family. We have to raise our children in this way, and they must toe the line. For Dudley to start being interested in magic, for Dudley to start being interested in fairness, and Dudley starting to be interested in healing or not bullying or any of that stuff, that would be a betrayal to the parents. So, and you cannot. And so that's why over the course of your life, if you got with somebody that made you happy, made you feel like more you, teachers or, meeting somebody incredible who, let's say somebody's like, we're lawyers, you got to be a lawyer when you grow up, somebody who was an artist, and then all of a sudden you wanted to be an artist too, like you didn't even know that was an option. You thought all that you had in front of you and all the choice that you could have was being a lawyer, and then you bring that art person home, or look, mom, like it's gonna get shut down so fast, and that person will be demonized because you are not allowed to fall out up the lines. You must stay in the lines of whatever the household norm is, whatever the childhood, whatever the trauma says, whatever the dysfunction says, whatever the abuse says, that's the box you have to stay in. And it's not going to go well. And you can say that again, I cannot believe I'm being empathetic with Dudley. I cannot believe that's happening, but I am. He didn't have a choice but to turn out how he did because of the way that he was raised. And so, for me, this just means like, yes, yes, yes. Anything outside of the norm is a betrayal to the toxic family system. Anything that, anybody who, sees me in a way that is, sees me in a light of magnificence, that person isn't going to get to be in my life very long, because that's just not okay. It's not allowed. I must, and this is where the fawning thing comes in. Not only do I have to, again, toe the line, stay in the box, but I'm also, I have to make the parents happy by being the way that they want me to be. I have to become something other than I'm not, I have to become something that I'm not in order to survive this. It's very clear, like just right at the go, right at the go. The Dursleys, it's just, they're just showing us this is how it has to be. This is how it has to be. And it cannot be another way. And that's how it was for anybody who has childhood trauma or childhood abuse, that, and that you might not even know. To me, to be raised in a home like this, I don't know that I would have survived. I don't know, like just the way they are, I wouldn't have made it in this one. I can guarantee you I would not have, I would have not have made it if I was going to have to act like Dudley. And I can be grateful that that wasn't my scenario. But yeah, so we're right from the beginning. It's like Harry Potter and our childhood trauma.